Hey guys, this is CyberEntertainment and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to tell you everything we know so far about Tom Clancy's The Division. After Watch Dogs, this has been my most anticipated game. It is being developed by Massive Games and is being published by Ubisoft. They're promising a cooperative and player versus player experience in a highly detailed world. Supposedly, it will be the next big Tom Clancy game. So without further ado, this is every piece of information I could gather on The Division. The Division is an open-world, third-person MMORPG. It plays in the year 2025 in the city of New York and some rural areas surrounding the city, 2 weeks after an unknown pandemic spread out and wiped out nearly all citizens. The few survivors live in a decaying city without water and electricity. You're there to save the remaining survivors and save the city from utter destruction. If you choose to do so, is your own choice. The game will be running on the new Snowdrop engine, which is said to be the first true next-gen engine. It will show off extreme visual effects that we have never seen before, such as dynamic material shaders, which changes the textures on objects depending on the weather. It will also feature mind-blowing particle effects and real-time destruction. Since this is an MMO, you will be playing in an always online environment. You will need a stable internet connection. You can play this game semi-offline. This means you will need to be connected to the server, but you'll be playing on your own. The only reason this game is always online is because the developers want you to meet other players and interact with them by making squads or alliances. In most areas, you will not be able to fight other players. It will be player versus environment only. But there are areas named Dark Zones. In these, you will be able to fight against other players, but we do not know how big they will be. On the other hand, you have areas named Social Zones. In these, you will find hundreds of players, with which you can trade, or at least that's what they are for. There's one more zone available, which is probably the story area. As soon as you enter these zones, you will not be able to see the other players, except those in your squad and obviously the bots. One of the things that surprised me is the fact that you will be able to customize your hero's hair, facial expression, clothes, sex, size, and many more things. I don't recall ever seeing something like that in a game based on the near future, not something like World of Warcraft. You will also be given other options that will affect your starting equipment. Although these are not classes, you will not be bound to a specific playstyle. You can always change your equipment mid-game. This already seems a bit overwhelming, but the customization doesn't stop there. You'll be carrying a lot of essential equipment with you, such as an earpiece, a gas mask, your backpack, and weapons. The weapon list is massive, and you'll be able to add several kinds of scopes and gadgets like suppressors to the weapon too. But you can only do this if your weapon has enough slots. Bigger weapons obviously have more slots, so at the beginning, you'll have to choose what you need the most. But say, your weapon of choice doesn't have very many slots. You don't have to force yourself to use a different one. You can craft slots in your inventory if you have the materials. Crafting in The Division is almost as important as in games like Minecraft, where it is truly essential. You must use every piece of loot you can get your hands on to upgrade every piece of your gear, to get an edge on your opponent. But beside all the loot and the fancy equipment you get, you'll also level up after eliminating enemies and completing missions and quests. There will be 2 ladders, or tree, whatever you want to call them. One will be the skills, which will be gadgets and useful functions that are usually made for combat, such as the Seeker Mine. Only 2 skills can be active at once, and both of them have a cooldown timer depending on how strong they are, so that nothing is overpowered. Talents, on the other hand, will just boost your active abilities, such as more health, better accuracy, and general stuff like that. We do not know how many talents you are able to activate at the same time. There are other ways to better your performance in conflicts, such as food. Food is not necessary to survive, but as far as we know, it has the same effect as talents. The chance of finding useful equipment isn't high, therefore you will usually only find parts that you can later craft into a bigger item. But sometimes, the amount of parts can start to clog your inventory, so there is another easy solution. You can sell these items on the local black market that you can find in the social zones. You will find loot, complete items, and random crafting components there. Now you know how developers always brag about how their open world games are massive? Sometimes this is true, but not always. Since The Division is playing in New York, I thought it was a downscaled version. But after some research, it seems to me that it really is a real thing. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like, it only takes a second. This was CyberEntertainment, I'm out.